Hello, this is Jeff Byers. Welcome back. And this is Annie 150, and we're in Module 2, Texturing, Rendering, and Presenting the Food Can. This is Part 5 of our video lecture tutorials. And I'm going to try to get pretty much everything done, at least the texturing part. And we'll do some quick renders, and then the last video we're going to show you how to present your can in a professional manner. And for turning it in as well, I'm going to have another video for that. But this is basically just texturing, getting the texture back on the can. So we're back in Maya, and what I want you to do is I want you to go make sure that you have, I don't want you to have the triangulated one. We just basically want to have the can without the triangles in it, so make sure you have that. And what we're going to do is just double check the UV editor, make sure that they are in the tiles are correct, and they are. Okay. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to add a Arnold standard surface shader. So I'm going to right mouse button over top of the food can. Again, right mouse button, not your left mouse, your right mouse button, and hold it down, and then go down to assign new material. Okay. And we're going to go under Arnold shader, and then we're going to go into AI standard surface. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to delete the history again. You can see right here under polymodeling, I'm going to delete the history. And if I move across, you can see there's my AI standard surface. If you don't see it, it's because you have a bunch of history, and you're going to have to click on that arrow key to get all the way across. You see? It's hard to see the way it is, right? If I move it this way, you can see that I can see more space there, but we don't want to do that. Okay? So with AR standard surface selected, I want you to rename it to food can underscore can underscore texture. Again, we can't have spaces. You can write it out as one name or one word, excuse me, one word, but if you want a space, you have to use an underscore. Okay? I'm going to hit enter. And weight is basically how bright this diffuse is, the actual texture, which is white right now. If I wanted to add just a different color, I could do that pretty easily, but right now we'll just keep it at white. Okay? Now, instead of just a color, we want to add the map that we created from Substance Painter. So instead of just a color, we're going to actually put a file on there. So we're going to go into this option box here right next to color. Next to color, we want to add a 2D texture. That's what we have. That's what it's called, a 2D texture. I'm going to go on to File. Once we click on that, then filter type is going to be off. We do not want to have any filters on here to blur the image. Okay. Under image name, okay, you notice now, because I put the numbers back, I can easily differentiate that this is the first UV map and this is the base color, so I'm going to click on that, and that's the blue that I have on the can itself. Okay, which is great, awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click open with that. Okay, all right. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to UV tiling mode to Udom Mari. Okay, and that's going to kind of give us, and it says 2 tiles found. That's great. If you see that, you're good to go. Okay, generate preview. Okay. Under color space, we're going to do sRGB. We're going to leave it as default. Okay, and then we're going to open up color balance, and the alpha is luminance is turned off. Okay. Alright, so that one's done. We're going to go to the next one, so we're going to go click on this little box with the arrow that's going out. And then the next one is going to be metalness. We're going to put our metal texture that we created in here. So I'm going to click on that option box, go to File, turn the quadratic off to off, filter type to off. I'm going to click on the image name. I'm going to go back into here, and this is going to be the metallic map. Okay. Click on open. Okay. And this one is going to be raw. So the next thing down, oh, we need to do UV tiling, UV tiling mode and Udemy. So don't forget that, and then click Generate Preview. And this one's going to be raw. Okay, raw. You're going to get a little yellow warning. That's perfectly normal. I want you to scroll down and I want you to click on alpha is luminance. Okay. Let's go back out. That's our metallic. And the next one is we've got our color, we've got our metalness, which is metallic, and then you guessed it, roughness is our roughness map. So I'm going to click on the option box. Here we go. And do what we've been doing and find our texture. This is going to be roughness, so 1001, and click open, and this is going to be a raw file. Okay, and let's not forget the UV tiling is Udemy. Now if you forget, then it may not see that roughness map. Okay, so you always have to have under UV tiling mode, you have to turn on Udemy. We're almost done, and that one's going to be raw. Okay, and then alpha is luminance needs to be on. Okay, all right, great. So there are the settings for that. You can pause the video anytime you want to and go back and rewind and play it again and watch it and make sure you get the numbers right. And then we're going to go to the next one. Okay, the next one is under geometry. You'd think that's kind of weird. It should say bump or normal map, but it doesn't. It says geometry. So under next to bump mapping, that's where we're going to put our normal map. Okay. We're going to go textures, file, and we're going to go to tangent space normals under use as, not a bump, but a tangent space normal. Remember when we were baking out the Substance Painter maps? Normal map was one of them, and that's where this comes in. Okay, and next to bump value, I'm going to go into the arrow and make sure that's turned off, the filter type, and then we're going to click on the normal map. Food can for 1001. Now nothing's really going on here because you can see that this is where the split was with the UV. That's where the UV split was. So I know that's the label, and that's 1001. So I'm going to click OK, open, and I'm going to go off with filter type, normal map, and then we're going to do color space as raw. Okay. And then use alpha as luminance. That needs to be turned off. Okay, so raw, alpha is luminance, and we're good. And let's go ahead and check it. And oh, wait a minute, UV tiling mode should be Udemy. There we go, and click on Generate Preview. So I'm going to go through everything again. Okay, so I'm going to go back out. Okay, so there's tangent space normals. Go back out that way. And here we go. So we got the color in the color map, and just click on Generate. Go back out here. Go back into metalness. Click on Generate, and then go back to roughness, and then click on Generate. Go back out here, and one last one at the very bottom. I'm just double checking here, and then I'm going to click on Generate. So you can see all the maps are found. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go to Renderer, go to Viewport 2, and click on the option box. And in here, I'm going to click on Regenerate All UV Tile Preview Textures. Click on that. Okay. And that should rejuvenate everything. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Now I'm going to hit the 6 key. Okay. Now it says warning to visualize UV textures in VP2, which is this render viewport 2. Okay. So it's giving me a warning. Okay. So to view that, let's go ahead and do that again and just take a look at what it was saying. There we go. I'm going to do that again. Regenerate. So I regenerated the game, and it wanted me to regenerate those. Reload textures and regenerate. And a lot of times, if I go in here, and I can see the blue on there. Okay. And let's go click off here. I think, yeah, it's showing the textures now. Okay, you just don't see them very well. Alright, so I don't have any lights in here, and we need lights to be able to see what we have so far. So let's go in here, and under the render settings, we need to make sure Arnold is selected. Okay, as a renderer. I'm not too worried about changing anything in here. Okay. So if you don't see Arnold as a renderer in the stack, then we need to load the plugin. So to do that, you go to Windows, Settings Preferences, Plugin Manager, and you go in here and you auto-load everything. Okay? Because it's hard to find. Just auto-load everything that you see. And with that said, refresh. Okay, and now you should be able to see in your render settings, you should be able to find Arnold Renderer. Make sure that's selected. Okay, go ahead and close it. And then under Arnold, the tab under, you know, the basic shelf tabs, you'll have to find Arnold, and then what I want you to do is click on the Sky Dome. Okay? You can also go under Arnold up here and go to Lights and click on Sky Dome Light here as well too if you want to. Okay? Alright, cool. And there's our can. Alright, so we really don't see anything, and this is really too bright. So we're going to turn the intensity down of the Sky Dome. So if you click on the can and you're like, wait a minute, I can't select the Sky Dome, just marquee select like this, or you can go to Windows and Outliner, and you can find it here. Okay, just as easily. You can just click on Sky Dome, and that'll show up. So I'm going to keep the Outliner open, so if I need to click on something or find something, I can easily do that. Even the food image plane that's in the background is there too as well. So the intensity I'm going to turn down to 5 because I already know that's really way too bright, and the exposure down to 0.5 as well. Okay, and the samples need to be at 2. Okay, so those are the 3 things that I've changed so far. And then I don't want the background to be white, you know, that's not a good color. So I'm going to do 0.15, more of a gray. Okay, so just gray. And so with that done, then I can go in here and render it out for the first time. It's going to convert all the textures and all that stuff. And that looks pretty good. I mean, you know, just for a first render. You don't see really any reflection, and the steel doesn't really look like steel, but we're close, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you where to find a HDRI image. Now, the reason why Substance Painter, the image looks so good, let's go back to that image, even though it's still not that great. It still looks good because it's reflecting a background, right? So we don't have a background in Maya, so it's just plain white. So that's why it looks so good in Substance Painter, right? Okay, so find your favorite search engine and go HDRI Haven, and let's see what we have. This is probably the best website I've seen for HDRI images, and they're 100% free. Yeah, it's awesome. So HDRIs, click on that. Let's do this quickly. Let's find something that's interior I prefer. So let's go indoor, and let's try to find something just basic. Let's do this one here. That's kind of cool. It's kind of open. It's I'm looking for something neutral. There's a lot of grays. We don't want anything. So this is neutral too. It's a studio, photo studio. You want to stay away from warm right now because I've got to grade you on your texturing ability and what your textures look like. And so and you can experiment with these. Like download a couple, like a warm one and then a cool one, and the warm one's always going to look better. A lot of people claim, but I like neutral colors. It shows off your textures better. Okay, it's not that warm colors look bad. They just add to your texture color, and when I'm grading you don't want that to happen. So let's go ahead and find something that's neutral. This one is neutral, but you know I want to see if we can do both. So there's a little warmth in here. So let's click on this one. It's Small Cathedral. Okay. And if you want to do the Photo Studio 1, that's a good one too. It looks pretty neutral. Okay, this one's got a little more warmth in it. Let's go ahead and do this one. This one looks good. Okay. Small cathedral. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Okay, so of course he wants you to join and you know, give him some money, but I'm a cheapskate, so I'm going to go ahead and just do the 2K. We don't need anything over the top. We want to keep it pretty low level here, so we're going to do 2K. It's going to be kind of blurry, which is fine. I'm not really worried about rendering that out. So 2K, and so let's go ahead and click on that and download that. So it should download fairly quickly for you. Now when you do like final renders, you may want a higher level. I don't think it really matters. It's up to you. But believe me, you don't want 16K. That will take forever to load, and you'll probably crash. And plus, the 8K will probably crash too. I wouldn't go any higher than 4K. We're going to do 2K right now. So go ahead and select that, show in folder, and here it is. And copy, and find your folder, your project folder, and put it in your source images like that. Paste. I'm also going to share, these aren't the greatest labels, but they were free on the internet. I mean, you know, as free as it's going to get. And if you want to scan your own label or pull a label off of a can that you have, these are the only three that I have that I found. And scan or take a picture or photograph your own label and put it on there. I'm fine with that. But I'm going to give you those three, which are kind of corny and fun, but it is what it is. So the idea now is to go ahead and get that downloaded and paste it in, and I did. So now we're all set. So now you know what to do there. And I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to the environment map. So next to color and into the option box, okay, it's the color in the option box. I'm going to click on File. I'm going to click on Off. Okay, and I'm going to go in here and click on this and click on the small cathedral and open that up, and it instantly comes up. Okay, which is cool. So now it's going to reflect everything in the image. Now if you don't like the cathedral one, you can find one, try to find one that's neutral. I think you understand what I'm talking about, something that doesn't have a lot of warmth in it. This one's got kind of warmth of both. And we want to make sure that is raw. Okay, it won't work without the raw. We also don't want the alpha is luminant on there. Okay, so once that's done, now you can do another render. Okay, the render's all finished, and you can see it's a little bright, you know, so we can rotate around, okay, and it's pretty dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that off a minute. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to select my background, my sky dome light. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to turn that off. I don't want to see anything here. I've already got it really low. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to render that again. It shouldn't take too long. And there you go. So now you don't have a background that's kind of getting in the way of your can. So I'm going to pause for a second. Actually, let's go ahead and close that. Get a little closer, okay? And let's rotate around, and you can see that we have that background gate and all that stuff. And you can see that it is pretty bright, even with at 0.5 and 5. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more render, and we'll kind of play with those numbers real quick after we look at it. Rotate around here. Okay, that looks pretty good. I like that. You can see we've got a nicer, now that I've turned it around a little bit, it's not glaring. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you in here. You click on that image, put the image in by clicking on that. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lower this. You can see that if I go to 0.25 and down on exposure 0.25, we got to lower them the same way. same amount. So intensity and exposure work together, okay, in the sky dome. Also, I've got to change one other thing in here. I've got a 2K image, so the resolution needs to be 2000 instead of 1000. Okay, that looks good. And now I'm going to rotate around a little bit more so we can see a little more of the top and render it. And you're going to see that it's looking a lot better with the environment than we had before. There we go. So that looks pretty good. I like that. Alright, cool. Alright, so with that done, what we're going to do now is we're going to work on getting that texture in Photoshop in the next video. And one last thing, let's go ahead and create a ground plane. So go to Poly Modeling, click on a flat plane, hit the R key, and just make it a little bit bigger, kind of like a table. Okay. And we're going to just add another material. So right mouse button, click over the floor plane and go to Assign New Material, and go to Arnold Shader and click on AI Standard Surface. And we're going to put a texture on here as well, but this time we're just going to add a color so we can kind of get an idea. And make it kind of just a pastel, okay, color. Leave leave everything the way it is. It's going to be kind of reflective, which is kind of cool though. Let's take a look at it and zoom in a little bit more. Okay, like that. And let's do one last render before we go into Photoshop. And this might take just a little bit longer, but now we have a background and everything's looking better than it was before. And we have a shadow now, which is really cool. Okay, excellent. Alright, so great. So that's what we have so far. Let's go ahead and put that in. You can see we've gone from here to here, and it's looking better. Now we just need to replace that label. Fantastic. Alright, we'll see you in part 6 when we get the texture finished and we finish up adding textures to basic table. And we'll get the other lights in and we'll take a look at it and get it rendered out.